Millionaires use credit cards for almost everything, while broke people stick to debit cards thinking they're being responsible. But here's what's really happening. Rich people understand the psychology of money in ways that poor people don't. They know that how you pay for things literally rewrites your brain's relationship with money. If you've been told to cut up your credit cards and only use cash or debit, you've been given advice that keeps you broke. The wealthy don't avoid credit cards because they have self-control. They use them strategically because they understand something called payment abstraction and how it affects your spending psychology. By the end of this video, you'll understand why the payment method you choose is either building wealth or keeping you trapped in a poor person's mindset. And it's not what you think. Rich people understand that physical cash creates what psychologists call payment pain, the actual psychological discomfort your brain feels when handing over money. When you pay with cash, your brain processes it as a real loss because you can see and feel the money leaving your hands. This seems good for budgeting, but it's actually terrible for wealth building. Here's why. Payment pain makes you cheap, not wealthy. When every purchase hurts psychologically, you start avoiding all spending, even investments that could make you money. Rich people want to eliminate payment pain for strategic purchases while maintaining it for wasteful spending. They use credit cards for business expenses, investments, and wealth-building purchases because they don't want psychological barriers stopping them from making money. Poor people think feeling pain when spending money is good. It keeps them from overspending. But it also keeps them from investing in themselves, starting businesses, or taking calculated risks that build wealth. Rich people understand that you need to spend money to make money, and payment pain interferes with that mindset. The wealthy also understand delayed gratification in reverse. While poor people use credit cards for instant gratification purchases they can't afford, rich people use them to delay payment on purchases they can absolutely afford. They're playing a completely different game with the same tool. When a rich person puts $10,000 of business equipment on a credit card, they're not buying something they can't afford. They're strategically timing their cash flow. They know that keeping their cash invested and earning returns while paying for necessary expenses on credit makes them money. A poor person sees debt as bad because they associate it with buying things they can't afford. A rich person sees strategic debt as leverage, a tool to make more money than the debt costs them. This fundamental difference in psychology around debt separates the wealthy from everyone else. Rich people also understand something called mental accounting, how your brain categorizes different types of money. When you pay with a credit card, your brain doesn't immediately register the expense the same way it does with cash or debit. Poor people see this as dangerous because it might lead to overspending. Rich people see this as an advantage because it removes emotional interference from logical financial decisions. Here's where it gets really strategic. Wealthy people use credit card rewards as a wealth-building tool that compounds over time. They put every possible expense on rewards cards and pay them off immediately. A rich person might earn $2,000 to $5,000 per year just in credit card rewards, which they then invest. Over decades, this becomes serious money through compound interest. Poor people either don't use credit cards at all, missing out on rewards, or they carry balances which eliminates any reward benefits. Rich people never pay interest, so every reward dollar is pure profit that gets reinvested. They're literally getting paid to spend money they were going to spend anyway, while poor people either leave money on the table or pay interest that cancels out any benefits. The wealthy also understand credit utilization psychology. They know that having high credit limits but using very little of them makes them look less risky to lenders, which gets them better rates on mortgages, business loans, and investment properties. Poor people either have low credit limits or max them out, which keeps their credit scores low and costs them thousands in higher interest rates over their lifetime. Here's how to think like a rich person about payment methods. First, use credit cards only for expenses you've already budgeted for and can pay off immediately. This gives you rewards, builds credit, and removes payment pain from necessary expenses. Second, never use credit cards for emotional or impulse purchases. Those should always feel painful to prevent overspending. Third, automate your credit card payments so you never pay interest or late fees. Rich people treat credit cards like charge cards. They use them for convenience and rewards, not financing. Fourth, track your spending in real time so you don't lose awareness of your expenses just because you're not using cash. The key is using credit cards as a tool for wealth building, not consumption. Rich people spend on things that make them money or save them money, while poor people spend on things that make them feel good temporarily. The payment method isn't what makes you rich or poor. It's your relationship with money and what you choose to spend it on. If this video changed how you think about credit cards and wealth building, make sure you're subscribed because I break down the psychology behind how rich people really think about money. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.